There are moments in American politics when two people collide on a national stage, not as mere individuals, but as symbols of opposing worlds. One represents policy, power, and the weight of elected office. The other, celebrity, influence, and the sheer magnetic force of public perception. This wasn't just a clash of personalities. It was a collision of realities. And when Caroline Leavitt and Jennifer Lawrence met face to face, under the blistering lights of a packed auditorium in Washington, D.C., the room didn't just watch. It trembled. It started as a routine town hall. Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, had taken the stage to speak about a sweeping federal education initiative. Her tone was sharp. Her words rehearsed, calculated, and precise. She outlined a new bill that would cut funding for several liberal-leaning universities, citing concerns about anti-American sentiment, radical activism, and what she called the intellectual decay of higher education. The crowd was divided. Some applauded, others murmured in disbelief. Then came the unexpected. From the back of the room, a familiar face stood. No security, no announcement, just a voice. Isn't it more dangerous to silence dissent than to let it speak? It was Jennifer Lawrence. Her presence shifted the energy, not because she was famous, but because she was angry. Not the kind of rage that explodes, but the kind that simmers, with focus, with clarity. Leavitt narrowed her eyes. "Ms. Lawrence," she said, "this isn't a film set. It's real life." Jennifer didn't flinch. "Exactly. And in real life, when the government starts punishing people for disagreeing, that's called tyranny." The auditorium froze. The debate that followed wasn't scripted, it wasn't moderated, and it wasn't polite. It was raw, unsanitized democracy. A cultural figure challenging a political authority, and the lines between policy and morality started to blur. Leavitt shot back. When universities allow hate speech against this country, when they teach students to despise our founding principles, when they shout down invited speakers, they cease to be institutions of learning. They become breeding grounds for division. Jennifer stood firm. But who decides what hate is? Who decides what's patriotic? You? The White House. The tension wasn't just in their words, it was in the crowd's breath. You could feel the uncertainty. The divide wasn't left versus right anymore. It was control versus conscience. Leavitt began quoting data, dropout rates, taxpayer burdens, federal spending. She pointed to rising protests on campuses, suggesting that the funding cuts were a matter of national security. Jennifer countered with stories, real students, real struggles. She spoke of young women silenced for protesting, LGBTQ plus students harassed for their identity, immigrants afraid to speak their native languages on campus. She wasn't citing spreadsheets. She was recounting pain. The longer they spoke, the more the town hall transformed. It became a courtroom, a confessional, a battleground. One man in the crowd stood and said, "I voted for this administration, but if we start using fear to decide who gets to learn, we've already lost what makes this country different." A woman shouted, "We need safe spaces, not silence." An older veteran said, "I fought for freedom, not for one side's definition of it." Leavitt's voice broke for the first time. "I don't hate students. I'm trying to protect them." Jennifer's eyes didn't blink. "Then listen to them." It was in that moment that the debate turned into something more. Not a fight to win, but a plea to understand. What followed were 20 minutes of unfiltered questions from the audience. Jennifer sat down among them. Caroline stayed standing. And the two answered everything, from censorship to trans rights, to the role of Hollywood in shaping public thought. And for once, neither had all the answers. They disagreed, loudly, fiercely. But beneath the fire, something rare happened. Recognition, a subtle nod that perhaps both were right in some ways, and maybe both were wrong. When it ended, the applause wasn't thunderous. It was thoughtful. Reporters swarmed the building. Headlines exploded. Celebrity confronts Washington powerhouse. Leavitt versus Lawrence. The culture war goes public. But what they missed, what the cameras didn't fully capture, was the look in the eyes of the audience walking out. It wasn't rage. It wasn't victory. It was reflection. In a nation so often polarized, this confrontation didn't resolve the divide, but it did illuminate it. Caroline Leavitt returned to the White House with a statement drafted and ready, but she changed it. She added, "Though we differ, I heard what was said, and that matters." Jennifer Lawrence left through a side door, declining interviews. She was overheard telling a friend, "She listened. That's more than I expected." This wasn't about who won. It wasn't about left or right. It was about whether we still believe that opposing ideas can share the same stage without tearing each other apart. America's watching, and for once, it's listening too. If this story moved you, inspired you, or made you think just a little deeper, make sure to subscribe to Hill Stories. Hit the bell so you never miss a moment where history and drama collide, because the next chapter might be even more shocking.